The report from Arizona is in, and it's not really good. We'll talk about Seiya Suzuki and more coming up next.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy, and this is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please support the show and be a part of our community by following and subscribing on all audio platforms, and you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode here on a Wednesday is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. We are 29 days away from opening day. Thanks to everybody, whenever and wherever you may be listening. On Tuesday, the news was confirmed. Seiya Suzuki has officially been shut down with an oblique strain. As of right now, there is no timetable for his return to game action after he was diagnosed with what they're calling a moderate left oblique strain, and typically an injury that's difficult to predict in terms of the recovery process. But Rays pitcher Tyler Glasnow recently suffered an oblique strain as well, and the Rays coincidentally announced Tuesday that Glasnow is out 6 to 8 weeks, so perhaps that is at least some kind of measuring stick for how long the Cubs will be without one of their best players. Sam, it's disappointing. We were anticipating it now for really more than a couple days, and now the word is officially in.
You know, not to be this guy, but we should rename the show Locked On Cubs featuring Dr. Cozy and Dr. Olber, because we were all over this. I said on yesterday's show I think I used the word shocked, but I was at least surprised if I said if he was ready by opening day, and I stand by that. You will not see Seiya Suzuki for a while, because you got to remember, let's say it's a 6 to 8 week injury, Matt. Then he's got to ramp up. He hasn't had any spring training. He hasn't had anything. So my target date for him is May 1st. And there's nothing to say. And look, guys, let's not, at least it's happening in the beginning of the year. No, this is arguably one of the worst possible beginnings to the spring that you could have. One of your most important players. I talked about it yesterday, and we're going to talk about the roster a little bit later on, but might be a little bit of a bigger drop off than I thought. But this is, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this was the year for Suzuki. I thought year one went overall about as expected, just in a little bit of a different way. I think it was a different journey, but we got to the same spot with his final numbers. I didn't think he'd get off to a great start. He got off to a tremendous start, then hit a wall, then got hurt, then came back and played well, then hit a little bit of a wall, battled more injuries, right? But overall, I think we all agreed it ended up being, this is fine. Now let's see him explode. Now let's see him take that leap from an above average offensive player to a very good one. And now, I have absolutely no proof on this at all, but how many guys really have a tremendous year when they miss the first month of the season? I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure somebody will be able to give you some examples in the comments, but it's upsetting. I don't know what else there is to say. I think you feel the same way, right?
Yeah, it was a downer for me today, for sure. The train was at the station for him, and now you're just not sure when it's going to leave. I like the May 1st date because, of course, the Cubs brass, I actually have a quote here from David Ross. They don't want to give any timetables, which transparency is a fun word. Quote, the goal for us is when he's back, we don't lose him again, Cubs manager David Ross said. We want him to get completely healthy. If that's opening day, great. If it's 5 days in, great. If it's 2 weeks in, fine. We'll be sure to communicate throughout this process and get him back to where we don't have to worry about it throughout the season.
If it's 2046, awesome.
Yeah, and also opening day would only be, that's 4 weeks from Thursday, so that's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, I disagree if there's, notions and threads out there about, oh, get it out of the way now, or oh, they could suffer the blow the first 28 games. There's 28 games in April. That's a lot. And
a lot
for
games.
A player that played in 111 games last year, that means he almost missed 1/3 of the year. He played in 68% of the games. That's not a lot. And so now you shave off at least 28, and the Cubs lose a 3, 4, or 5 hitter. There's definitely less polish on the team now, less glow. I do think there's some ideas that would be highly intriguing, really interesting, and even bring about a buzz, dare I say, with the fan base. It doesn't sound like the Cubs are going to pursue that, which I think is unfortunate. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but I think I'm starting to be a little downtrodden on him. I thought that I gave him a pass in terms of his off the field stuff. Wasn't always sold on the baseball part of it. I just never understood how he's so passive. Honestly, that's kind of the biggest sticking point for me. Yeah. I've never really seen a hitter, especially the Japanese hitter that's smooth and his contact first plus contact. He just takes so many fastballs for strikes first pitch. So I think I was a little sullied on the baseball part of it, but now he's not even going to play.
Right. No, it's I like the baseball aspect more than you, but the trends aren't great. He's going to have to come back. He's going to have to win over the fan base now, because we're past the first impression phase, and this is the same fan base that dealt with Kosuke Fukudome, right? And it's trending in a bad direction, but it's not there yet.
Right.
But it's trending there. And the one thing I like about Suzuki is, if you listen to his interviews or read them, he's a pretty self-aware guy. And he takes a lot of pride in himself. And, I think the quote I read was like, last year I was really upset that he basically said he felt like he could play through that finger injury and they were just keeping him out, they being the Cubs. Okay. And he was fighting for it and wanted to. But this one, he said, is really frustrating because he knows he can't play through it. And so, we'll see what it is. The next thing we talk about is even more eyebrow raising, and we'll get into it. But
some other news and notes from Tuesday's spring training game. Kevin Alcantara did debut and got 2 hits.
Yeah, 2 hits for Alcantara. Mervis looked good.
Mervis was on twice. Velasquez homered. We're going to talk about a couple of those guys next. Smiley got the start, allowed 5 hits and 2 runs and 2 innings.
Not sharp.
Yeah, and Mark Leiter with his second scoreless inning.
I'm glad. Thank you for mentioning that. That's 2.
I always will.
I'm just saying, if this guy throws 10, 11 innings in spring and gives up 1 or 2 runs, I'm still looking pretty over here. Okay, guys?
That's true. Comeback season.
Take a look at Mervis's swing to left center field today. It's a home run at Wrigley Field. It's a beautiful cut. Really sharp stuff. Madrigal, after a hit early, he went 0 for 3 today. He's down to 167 in all 3 categories because he never walks or hits for power. Alcantara, 2 hits in his first game. I mean, I didn't see what the hits were. That's not a small thing. Davis laced the double to left field.
Yeah.
So that's
he
good
looks
to
healthy.
See. Yeah, that's good to see. He's got his swing. You ever notice his swing? It's like a 3/4 finish.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit strange.
Yeah, it's a strange swing. But yeah, Smiley got knocked around this afternoon.
Yeah, we weren't really all smiles about that. So,
so Suzuki
Suzuki's out. Who's going to play right field on opening day? Who's going to take the roster spot? We discussed that and more coming up next. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We're so excited to be partners with the #1 sports book in America. New customers can join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On Cubs. Welcome back into Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. With Suzuki out at least the first month of the season, there's multiple levels of impact, Sam, including roster decisions and lineup combinations. Two main questions that I was thinking about today was who is going to take his roster spot and who is going to take his roster spot or starting spot and then roster spot. I think there is some crossover between the two. I think some roster candidates right off the bat would be Nelson Velasquez, Ben DeLuzio, Darius Hill, and Mike Tauchman. Possible starters that at least I had was Chris Morel and Trey Mancini, at least that players that we've already seen. But David Ross actually name dropped three people: Patrick Wisdom, who's an infielder, Trey Mancini, who's pretty much an infielder, and Mike Tauchman, who played last year on the KBO. Okay, respectfully to him, he has played parts in the show, including a double-digit home run season in 19 with the Yankees, but that would definitely be a long shot. I would think even for a roster spot, much less a start. So,
right.
I think there's going to be a lot of rotations, but the Cubs clearly now have not one but two question marks. I'm not even going to pursue, writing a lineup at least for a week or so.
Sure.
Because I think, third has a rotation and now right field has a rotation.
Yeah, and I mentioned on the show yesterday that it's not a huge drop off for Suzuki to somebody for a month because it's baseball and you never know, and you could stumble into some luck, and maybe Tauchman has a Schwindel type month and carries the team. You never know, right? But
great.
On the surface, it's unserious. Meaning, look, we've gone back and forth on the Cubs, and we've talked about the offseason almost every day, right? If opening day 23 versus Corbin Burns, you have Mike Tauchman, Patrick Wisdom, and Yan Gomes / Barnhart in there, and it's just that's not a look. Like, our job is to be transparent. That team is not going anywhere. Okay, they are not. They have some nice players. Dansby Swanson is a nice player. Ian Happ is a nice player. Nico Horner is a nice player. None of those three guys have become stars yet, right?
Right.
Cody Bellinger, we're hoping he reclaims his star form. We haven't seen any of that in the last couple of years. All these guys are floor raisers. But now when you take away Suzuki and you replace him with a guy like Tauchman, and you're going up against Corbin Burns with Wisdom, who's going to strike out on a pitch above his belt, we have you just did the thing on Tauchman in the catcher position, which I understand is just a defensive position. The floor isn't as high anymore.
Right.
It just isn't, right? It just isn't. And the Cubs have nice pitchers, but they're going to have to score runs. They don't have a starting pitching staff that's just going to blank you every day. They're going to give up a couple of runs, and the way this team is constructed is to kind of be just major league decent everywhere at every position, and then hope that one of the guys I mentioned explodes, and one of those we were hoping was going to be Suzuki. And you take him out now, and you replace him with a guy that wasn't even in the big leagues last year, at Tauchman and or Wisdom, who, okay, let's say Wisdom plays right and then Madrigal plays third. It doesn't really scream out much upgrade to me. And it's frustrating because, we talked about how the gambling sites had us low at wins, and it's like, how did they know that Suzuki was going to go down? You know what I mean?
Well,
it's like,
right.
Because it just changes. It really, like, I thought yesterday it wasn't as big of a deal, and I was hoping, and I'm sure this is what we're going to talk about next, but I was hoping to see Mervis get a chance. And you move Mancini over to right. Mervis slides into the DH role. I think that raises the ceiling and the floor for this ball club at this point, because you never know with somebody like Mervis. Like, if he hits well this spring, he's 24. What does another month of spring training do? Can somebody look at that and please confirm us? Because I've looked at it. I haven't got the answer. If this is a service time thing, I'm done, man. I'm done. Okay. You owe it to the fans to be serious about winning in 2023. The rest of this spring training should be about this. Is Matt Mervis the best offensive option we have? I get Brendan Davis. That's different. He's coming off an injury. He has zero big league experience. I know Mervis doesn't either, but last year was up and down for him. Mervis was right here. Our own Lindsey Crosby, who hosts one of the best shows on our network, Locked On Prospect, literally created a hashtag, and this was before he came on with us.
It was early, yeah.
Yeah, free Matt Mervis, and he knows more about prospects than anybody that I know, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're serious about winning games in 2023 and he continues to hit the ball and put together good ABs in the spring, he has to get a chance, or it is an unserious, ridiculous decision. And the good news for Cubs fans, if you want to take a what do they call it? A positive or look at the bright side. That's what I was looking for. Boy, it's getting late. Start tracking Mervis's ABs every single day and every single one of the WBC, because I believe they matter now. I do. I believe they matter.
That's big.
And listen, we have a voice. I'm sorry, but we have a voice on this show, and I will start going public if he gets to like 280, 290, and he's slugging, and we start right field with Mike Tauchman, who of course had 2 hits today, but still, I'll move mountains if I have to.
No, I would like for you to do that. I think you should pursue that. I think as a show we should do that. I think that's a great question. I'd like to make it the title. If Matt Mervis is the best option, something along these lines, then shouldn't he be in the lineup?
Or at least the fact that he wasn't even name dropped, Matt.
Right. Well, I think Brendan Davis, to a smaller extent, should at least be in the convo.
Yeah.
I think it's best for him to start in Des Moines, but don't sidestep it. Somebody asked David Ross about Davis, and he sidestepped.
Yeah, right. Because they're doing this weird thing where they don't want to mention the prospects. It's like, look, these guys are nice pieces. They're not Schwarber. They're not Bryant. They're not that level yet. So stop protecting them. You told us you care about winning in 2023. So you better back that up. And playing a guy, unless if he has a huge spring, then you have to play. Like if Tauchman ends up having a huge spring, at least that's defensible, right?
He'll probably get more ABs now.
Yeah. Oh no. And it's worth watching. It makes the spring more interesting. But I'm just saying, my point is this: whoever replaces Suzuki in the starting lineup should be the guy that gives us the best chance to win, not the guy that's well, maybe he'll get hot because we want to just protect Mervis and protect Davis. No, we're past that stage.
That means. Yeah.
Mervis is not 19. He's 24. No. PCA, he's far away. Alcantara, those guys are far away. This kid is a grown man, and he's about to go play in a professional WBC. If he hits there, give him a look.
100%. And Mike Tauchman, by the way, fun fact, Palatine native, went to Fremd High School. But that shouldn't impact any decisions.
Hey,
also, I'm not saying that
I'm all for it. If he hits,
I'm not saying that excitement should impact the Cubs' decisions, but I think there's a journalism term would be like a human interest story. Mervis on the roster unquestionably creates increased buzz. And it's unfortunate it's because one of your better players is out. But it's very easy to see that.
Right.
Mervis, Tauchman, Wisdom. I mean, you could keep going down the line.
Right.
I don't want to see the same lineup with Wisdom at right and Madrigal at third.
No.
If that happens on a night where we record, you will be hosting with Nick Cozy. I will not be coming on. The Madrigal Wisdom combo is not something that I'm going to be interested in.
Right.
I think it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, what else do they have to do? I mean, I blink and Mervis doubles. I blink and he walks. The walk is one of the most powerful plays in baseball. You can't defend it. The guy just gets on base all the time.
And one thing that's important to note, Matt, is the focus on defense this year, and moving Wisdom to right field hurts the defense. Moving Mancini to right field hurts the defense.
Oh, it'd be brutal.
Even if they start somebody like Velasquez there, I think it would make more sense than those guys because we know he can play that position.
Big WBC, by the way.
Yeah, we know. No, all those guys. Look, whoever gets hot, that's the guy you should start opening day. But it should be 100%. Open. It should be open to anybody. And it should help the defense, because the last thing you need is you have all these great defensive players everywhere. And now we're sticking some, infielder in right field. And like you said yesterday, it's hard to play. There's a blooper in right. It gets by him, costs us a baseball game. Because one thing we know about this team, we already knew before the Suzuki injury, and now they have a very, very small margin of error. They're going to win a lot of 3-2, 4-3 type ball games. Right. And one mistake, as you know, loses you those games.
Well, I think that's a great takeaway then. Now, spring training and the WBC matters for this combo of players.
For me, they do.
Who knows? It's something to keep track of every day.
Yeah, he's just doing the salsa, chopping it up.
We're going to get to one trivia question about winners coming up next. Today's episode, actually, we don't have a spot right now. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Matt Cozy and Sam Olber. We're in your ears on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. And
we're agitated. This is brought to you by agitation.
Yes, I am frustrated right now.
And I'd like to give a shout out. I'd like to give a shout out to all of our Hawkeye listeners as we record this. They lead by 20 in Bloomington, Indiana.
I was on a run, folks. Huge comeback the other day. Now a win potentially on the road.
Whereas my ball club has a huge comeback last week and then lays an egg in Columbus.
Oh boy, the Ohio State's won about 12 ball games.
No, they hadn't won a game since Dwight D. Eisenhower, was leading us, and then they beat the Illini.
All right, we're gonna get to a trivia question here, then wrap this up. So
underrated presidency. What a leader.
There are 7 current Cubs who have won a World Series.
Oh, sure.
Can you name them? And as a bonus, can you list the team in which they won with?
No, but I'll try, because that's the beauty of this program. Does David Ross count?
Oh no, he doesn't.
Okay.
Players.
All right. Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I have it in front of me.
Okay, awesome. Trey Mancini last year was victorious with the Houston Astros. I believe he maybe had 1 postseason hit.
All right, that's 1.
Dansby Swanson.
That's 2.
He won a World Series with the Atlanta Braves in 2021. What a run they had. Brian Snitker. Man.
They're going to be really good this year.
Yeah. Does Kyle Hendricks count?
Yes, he does.
Okay,
so that's 3.
Okay. Kyle Hendricks won a World Series with the Cubs in 2016.
Right.
All right. Let me go around. Cody Bellinger is a World Series champion.
2020 Dodgers, 4.
All right. Let me go around the horn a little bit here. Madrigal hasn't won anything. Let's see. Wisdom, though. Was McKinstry on that Dodger roster?
No.
That doesn't count, right? That's lame. That's lame. Did Gomes win one?
He did.
Yeah. I honestly.
That's 5 with the Nationals.
The Nationals. Yeah. Okay. Shortstop, second.
You got to go up the diamond now for Gomes.
Eric Hosmer won one with the Kansas City Royals.
That's 6. And then the 7th, if I could give you a hint, was also part of that 21 Braves team. It's a hard one.
Yeah, just give me a second.
I will. You got 6 pretty quick, honestly.
Was it a reliever?
It was a current starting pitcher.
Oh, Smiley.
Yes.
Yeah. But he didn't start for them.
Right. So that's all 7.
Yeah.
Job. All right, we'll see how the week shakes out, but we're going to do a full episode with.
Do you take any stock? You take any stock in that
Friday?
Having a lot of World Series winners on the teams, that matter to you at all?
It does matter to me, yeah.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. Especially like a main guy, like if you're a shortstop like Swanson, if you're a shortstop on a team that won a World Championship, that means something,
right?
Sorry.
Yeah, right, no, I like it. I like good resumes. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button. All your favorite Locked On Cubs content, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you get your podcasts on the audio side. And again, the number for the mailbag, 312-834-4634.
I almost gave my own number away.
What was that?
I almost gave my own number away.
Oh, geez. Yeah, there's some hosts on the radio that sometimes almost do that. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. Now make your second Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
Yeah, baby.
I just got the text during baseball practice today from the fantasy league that I'm in. Everybody's coordinating the draft date. You can get help with your draft with Matt and Dom over at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. It's available on the YouTubes and wherever you get your podcast. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This has been Locked On Cubs.